Hello, my name is Matthew, and I just read The Adventure of the Second Stain by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. This is a part of my read along series and book club with Steve Donahue. We are reading murder mysteries in the month of March, and we are reading all the Sherlock Holmes short stories. And The Second Stain, we're told at the beginning, is the final Sherlock Holmes short story. This is the last one. There are no more. This is the end. And this is the second time this has happened now. Maybe it's another attempt of Doyle being sick of the character and wanting to stop. Um, this one, although it's not really the last short story, is much more satisfying and is much more reasonable from the in-world circumstances that it might be the last short story. We're told at the time that Watson is writing it that Sherlock is now in a state of retirement. He's relaxing and taking care of bees. He has an apiary. And so the great Sherlock is now a beekeeper. And not only is he now not an active consulting detective, so there are no more stories, we also have had a build-up throughout these stories of Sherlock being extremely critical of Watson writing these stories for various reasons. That they are sensationalized, they're not a realistic portrayal of the events that have happened, that they don't contain the wit and brilliance of the true crime, that they are stories written for mere entertainment and not instruction. And there have been moments of back and forth banter between Sherlock and Watson where Sherlock's criticism is met with quite bitter responses from Watson. Watson thinks he's doing something that is quite an achievement and something that's admirable, and he's documenting the stories and cases of a brilliant mind. And we get, we're told, a compromise that while Sherlock was being active and having cases, he was okay to accept that Watson is writing these stories, but now he wants to be out of the public eye. And asked Watson, requested or told him, this is the last story. You can tell one final last bow, and we're told this is the story. And Watson says it's just a really great top to a brilliant career. And this story is big and grand and international. It involves heads of state and the Premier of England and the head of state of a European kind of union or something. And there's a document that has gone missing that was locked up in a box at the Premier's house, and if it gets into the wrong hands, it can create a world war. So this isn't one of those intimate household puzzle box murder mysteries. Instead, it's grand and sweeping. Lestrade is there. Scotland Yard is involved. The other police departments are involved. There's a murder that takes place. Lots of things to be solved. And it's an intricate, very interesting plot and mystery. But the conclusion of this whole story, I think, is brilliant because the whole time we get examples of Sherlock's detective work, seeing his reasoning, the steps that he takes, the course of action that he believes is the best way to go about things, all of the intricate play-by-play moves of Sherlock. We've had a sensitive envelope that has gone missing. And the thing that I think is brilliant is at the very end of it, Sherlock has managed to get the envelope back into the box and to convince this head of state and this premier, the people that are so concerned that the envelope has gotten into the wrong hands, has convinced them that maybe the envelope never even left the box, and that somehow he was mistaken. It got put under another piece of paper, and the person says it's a complete waste of time. It's not in the box, and they open it, and sure enough, it's there, and they know it's impossible. And so we get just that Sherlockian moment where he does the impossible. And there's been other stories where these kinds of things happen, where we get a brief, near montage of a flurry of telegrams going out, or talking to people on the street, and it'll end with this impossible moment where everything comes together and it's solved. And this one, not only do we get that, we know exactly how it happened and all the steps that went into making this very particular set of circumstances that lead up to this impossible moment. And normally, the reader would be the one in shock, in awe, in astonishment. And we can still have that feeling. But we have these two characters, these two heads of state, premiers, that from their perspective, they're having the feeling that the reader typically does when we have no idea how Sherlock could have possibly figured it out, which is great. It ends with them saying, "You're a magician, you're a sorcerer, you're a wizard." And the last, what is the last line? Let me see. Because they're saying, "How did you do it?" And at the beginning of the story, when Sherlock is asking what the letter contains, these heads of state essentially say that it's private, sensitive, top secret information that he doesn't need to know about. He just has to get the envelope. And Sherlock doesn't care. He says, "Well, okay, so we're just wasting your time. I can't help you." And then they say, "Oh, okay, it is top secret, but you're right. If we're going to be working together," and they disclose what it is. So they give in to Sherlock. And then we have the moment of magic, this moment of astonishment. And let's see. The premier looked at Holmes with twinkling eyes. "Come, sir," said he, "there is more in this than meets the eye. How came the letter back in the box?" Holmes turned away smiling from the keen scrutiny of those wonderful eyes. "We also have our diplomatic secrets," said he, and picking up his hat, he turned to the door. And if Doyle really thought this was going to be the last Sherlock Holmes story, it's a great one. A huge, significant, not even worth comparing improvement to the last attempt at a final Sherlock Holmes story with The Last Vow. And we get all the things that are great in these stories, and those examples, Sherlock figuring out the impossible, and even a little bit of a reversal. So the title is The Second Stain, and at some point, there's another character that was leading a double life. Turns out that he's been murdered, and the police are there. They have their version of the forensic team and the detectives. Nothing has been moved. Everything is exactly the way it is. And after everything got resolved, they started cleaning up the crime scene, and that they found that the man was dead in a pool of blood on an area carpet that's not pinned down or tied down to any portion of the flooring or the walls. So just a loose, flat area carpet. And when they picked up the carpeting, the pool of blood on the carpet did not correspond to the wooden floor beneath the carpeting. There was no stain. There should have been a stain. And when they moved the carpet, they found the stain was at another part of the floor. And so Lestrade is there explaining this to Sherlock, because everything starts, this murder mystery within the story of the missing envelope, which it's kind of nested in, had started getting buttoned up. And Sherlock says, well, clearly the carpeting had been moved, and if you move the carpet, it'll cover the stain. And Lestrade says, I don't need Sherlock to explain that to me. I want to know who did it. Why is it done? Not that the carpet just got moved, which I thought was a great moment for Sherlock, or a great moment for Lestrade. And this story really does have, it's almost like it's playing the hits, where we have a grand, big story, international concern. There's an envelope that has gone missing in an impossible situation. We have a murder. There's a man that was leading a double life. We have a woman that's insane. We have blackmailing. We have a wife that is now breaking in and stealing things from her husband to pay off the blackmailer. We have Lestrade there. We have Watson. It has so many aspects of so many quintessential elements of a Sherlock story built into this machinery of this story. And it's great. It was satisfying, fun. I started talking about the conclusion, and I really think it's one of the most brilliant endings of a Sherlock Holmes short story, because to me it really feels like all of this work has been put into place to give the reader a behind-the-scenes feeling, a behind-the-scenes demonstration of what Sherlock can do and what it's like for the people that aren't behind the scenes when there is that moment of astonishment, when the impossible happens. And the payoff for that, the reason that it works is for all of the short stories that we've read up to this point. It's all proven. Sherlock has demonstrated this brilliance. We just get to see it from a different angle. I love that. This is the end of Volume 1. This contains, I think, 2 of the novels. It has A Sign of 4 and A Study in Scarlet and Sign of 4. Now I'm moving on to Volume 2, which also has, let's see, The Hound of the Baskervilles in the Valley of Fear, and then a whole bunch of more short stories that we'll be reading. I'm well past the halfway point, but finishing the first volume, which is thicker, and moving on to the second one, at least gives me another sensation that I'm on the back nine and still having a great time. So, on to volume two. Let me know if you've read the second stain. And, well, thank you for watching. Please leave a comment if you would like, and take care.